What we are currently doing in the game is work on gameplay, aka make the game as fun to play as possible. And as part of the gameplay, we just added, instead of circles, ellipses to the game. I hope and think that this perspective difference is going to make the game more interesting and real to play, so it really gives the correct perspective that it has instead of normal circuits. I think normal circuits break the immersion of the top-down view. And so we also figured out that in Bloons, whenever you place a unit, it might cost 80 gold, but then if you wanted to upgrade a unit, it would, for example, to deal 1.5% more damage, it would cost more than half. So it's basically what I did here is do an exact copy. I have a weapon here that deals 20 physical damage and 10% attack speed. That's actually a 50% damage increase for this guy. The weapon costs 60 and the unit itself costs 80. Now the unit, placing the unit would basically mean twice as much damage as compared to the sword, which is only a 50% damage increase. The interesting part about that is that it is actually the same in Bloons, where the upgrades don't give a power boost the same way that a new unit would give. However, the big part about that and why that is because positioning in tower defense games is key, and therefore having a good position and good upgrades in that position is much more valuable than another level 1 unit. Because, for example, this guy can maybe be placed here, but maybe if this guy is placed and he has a bunch of really good upgrades that increase his range, he's able to hit many more units with much more damage than this guy potentially ever could. And so that's the idea behind balancing and gameplay features. And so I found a really cool video, the difference between fun and frustrating games. I want to know and learn for myself what maybe we can add and learn from this game to make our game more fun to play instead of frustrating. Another example would be coyote time in 2D games. For those of you who know, coyote time is when you walk off a ledge and you're actually falling down, you still have a couple of frames that you can still jump. Celeste does this very well, and it is a mechanic to make the game less tedious, but not easier, because you can still make a very difficult game.
There's a fine line between a game that's a frustrating mess and a game that's an addicting quest towards mastery. Games like Hotline Miami, Celeste, and Dark Souls can often take you dozens of tries to get through a level. And yeah, sometimes these games make you want to throw your keyboard out the window,
But these games are not frustrating because you learn every time you compete against the boss. You learn his patterns. And that's why they make you angry, but they're not actually tedious to play or frustrating.
Something about them keeps you...
Maybe the Elden Ring DLC is that. I didn't try that yet. And people said that it's going to be very difficult and annoying, but I didn't try it yet.
Coming back again and again and again. What's this secret sauce that keeps players hooked even when a game is relentlessly pushing the player to their limits? Over the past month, I sought to answer this question with my own game, Blood Thief. I ran a playtest with my Discord,
What's a running game?
And while the initial feedback was discouraging,
felt really wonky at certain points. Wall jump is janky. Oh, I see. So it doesn't feel right. Tutorial was extremely frustrating. Wall jump, more like wall jank. The platforming felt... So this is interesting. That's very important. This is the guy that is probably, like I can't say for sure, but he's probably going to create an incredible playing experience, as opposed to the guy that we watched a couple of weeks earlier who made his game. It was a 2D game about, I think it's called The Summit, climbing up a mountain, using a grappling hook, and then getting to the top. In that game, the reviews were essentially the same. They told him that the game was frustrating, they quit early, and that the grappling hook mechanic felt tedious, and you had to be pixel perfect with the grappling hook for it to work. And unfortunately, he didn't go into these things. And I think he missed the mark there to make his game much more interesting. While he focused a lot on the graphics, and those points were true, he could have done maybe, you know, more appealing graphics. The game has to feel good too. That's really important. And luckily, this guy is aware of that. The combat in particular was kind of infuriating and unfair. Clunkiness and awkward design decisions. This guy also has a public playtest instead of launching the game without any feedback. Let's take a look. Why not? Let's request access and play the game if we get it. Click below to confirm your request to join. You will receive an email when the developer is ready for more participants. Access granted. Welcome to the playtest. Oh, we can play now. There we go. Data collection notice. This demo, wow, look at this font. It looks so really cool. This demo tracks basic anonymous playthrough stats and sends this data to Firebase cloud storage. Your data will be used anonymously to make the final game perform better and more fun to play. Please agree. Fine. Well, guess what? Wow, that looks really cool. That's an awesome font. That's loud. That's loud. Damn, bro. Looks really good. Audio settings. Linear audio scale? You think it's linear? Damn! Oots, oots, oots. Banger star, yeah. That's a banger level. Tutorial. We can only play the tutorial. We don't need to play that. The audio is enough. Yeah, that's a really good song. Really, really good song. It's loading so slowly, bro. Like it's a pixel art game. It's loading slower than Path of Exile. Compiling shaders, yeah. Maybe it's only once. Maybe that's only once. All right, so wow, wow. Like the acceleration on this is crazy fast. Pause. Wait. What did he say? Pause and navigate to give feedback at any time. To give feedback. Help me make the game better and let me know what you think. Okay. Swing your sword. Kill him. Wow, you run so fast. Wait, what happened? Kill enemies to harvest their blood. Okay. I think the controls are... Like the forward controls are really fast. It feels a little floaty. Blood gives you special abilities. Seek blood to become more powerful. What the fuck? I just died? Hey! Okay. Hold shift to slide. Consumes blood. Regain your power. Okay. Aha! I can keep on sliding! Look at this, guys. I'm sliding into the wall. Okay, so I suppose we're supposed to like do this. Okay, now jump while sliding to jump further. I guess I'm already skipping ahead. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, I see. Wait. So we have to do jump. Eh? Wait, what? Shouldn't I jump while sliding? Huh? Oh wait, I need to hold it. Ah, okay, wait. I got it. Yeah, guys. Huh? Hey, what the fuck just happened? Hey! Hey! Okay. Oh! Bitch! Hey? Hey? Oh! Oh no! Yeah? Shit! Dude! Bitch. Okay, we got it. Oh! I'm just gonna... Hey! I wanted to take it slow, bro! I got it. Oh! Holy shit. Like the forward controls make this... You fucking idiot. Shit! This requires a key. Okay, fine. I'll go this way. Hey! LOL! Oh! Ah, that's some bullshit. Man, it's this level is difficult, bro. But at least what I have to say is that the wall jumping feels, I guess, good. This is not a tutorial, bro. This is more difficult than a normal like game, bro. Hey, bitch. Okay, let's try this again. Hey, dude. Okay. Now what do I do here? I don't understand. Okay, guys, I'm done. It's fine. Okay, fine. Cool game. Now, let's see how he made the game more interesting. What I can tell is it can get very frustrating. The wall jump feels okay, I guess. What I don't like still, but maybe that's just me, is the floatiness of the character moving forward and sideways. It feels a little too floaty. So it's very fast when you run forwards, but it's very slow when you run backwards. Yeah, to the sides too. You float a lot. You don't have any, not much accuracy when running to the left and to the right. So let's see what he has to say. Maybe it's not updated yet, but let's see here. Is it updated actually? Oh, it was updated 12 days ago. So it must have been. Okay, let's see. Still, this is my point. It's a little floaty to the left and to the right and a bit fast to the front. Now you can get used to it, but it's like when you're running really fast and you want to slow down, it's difficult to slow down. But I get that this is supposed to be a speed game. You're supposed to, you know, memorize the certain jumps that you can do.
After dozens of hours of testing, observing, and iterating, I think I'm starting to hone in on that secret sauce. In this devlog, I'm going to cover all the things I did to take my little demo from something players rage quit after 10 minutes into something that playtesters are already spending hours and hours trying to master.
That's the important part.
Dive right in.
This is what you want. So whenever, you know, whenever we saw a game in the past with playtimes of an hour or 30 minutes or 80 minutes, that's not a good sign. He called you out already? Yeah, he called me out, but guys, I don't have 10 hours to play this game right now. Okay, I could have continued. The game was actually making fun. Maybe I didn't stress this enough. The game started to be fun. Okay, now I just don't have enough time right now to play it. But I would have continued playing if I was alone. If I was alone, I would have continued playing on that level. The magic of the playtest, yes.
If there's one thing I've learned lurking through the depths of the YouTube and Reddit game dev scene, it's that you can't make a good game without playtesting. Last devlog, I did a tiny 3-person playtest with some of my best friends. But the truth is, my friends are nice guys, and they care way too much about my feelings. That's where my
Really? I would just get obliterated by my friends, man. Like, especially my brother. He would, like, say the worst.
Discord comes in. I wanted to extract as much information out of this broader playtest as possible, so I prepared a brief Google form that playtesters could use to fill out and give feedback. I also wanted to get slightly more sophisticated, and I set up some basic analytics for the game. For analytics, I needed a way to track things like how many times did it take for the player to beat a level, and how many players that beat the first level decided to move on to the next level.
I destroyed his stats. Like, bro, I would have played longer. I'm sorry.
GameAnalytics.com. But I immediately threw that option in the trash as soon as I found out that I needed to compile Godot myself to use their plugin.
What?
Nope, way too lazy for that.
Yeah.
I tried the next best thing, which is a service called quiver.dev. Setting up Quiver with my game was pretty easy. I literally just made a free account, enabled a plugin in my game, and started adding events like this one here, and boom.
Player is a noob, true. Player get... Oh, God.
Analytics was in the dashboard instantly. Pretty sweet. For the record, I'm not sponsored and I have no affiliation with Quiver. I just think it's a cool little service. So now that I have my level ready, my survey set up, and analytics enabled, it was time for me to distribute my...
I think we should do this too. Before I do a playtest, I'm gonna look into how to collect data like that too. When do people, like, at what point do people quit my game and stuff? Yeah.
Game to playtesters. Steam is a slick feature called Steam Playtest that allows you to easily distribute early builds of your game. It's kind of like one step before a demo, which I really like. So I hit publish on the Steam playtest, notified the playtesters, and everything went perfectly. The game was fun, the players loved it, and in the eyes of my Discord, I was elevated to the status of a god. Just kidding, the game sucked.
Yeah.
In those first few hours of that playtest, I quickly learned a valuable lesson. Anyone can make a hard game. The hard part is in getting the player to care enough to spend their valuable time learning how to master it. And the harder a game is, the more likely the player is to just get up and do something that takes less effort.
Yep.
And yeah, looking at the initial play stats...
Users booked by time played. 1 to 10 minutes. First few hours, most of them quit here. Yeah, that's just how it is. You don't have much time to convince players, unfortunately.
Look at how many people just played my game for 10 minutes and never picked it up again.
That is really good.
So I'm personally pretty good at my game.
I want to test something really quickly. He zoomed in here, right? Lifetime play time status. Can I check this for my game? We can see something here. I mean, that's for this game here, guys. That's the old version, okay? So, Aki, I see. So, can I click on this? Do I get the... Oh, we get the same thing. Aha. There we go, yeah. I have 133 that quit in 1 to 10 minutes. Very interesting. And this is this version of my game is about 1.5 years old. And there was one person that 12 played this for 200 plus. I don't know who did that, but okay, that's interesting. I remember leveling an archer very high and having it solo levels. Yeah, like this is what ILODX did too. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know about this this lifetime playtime. Yeah, this graph right here is very important. We know from the Steam video, from Steam themselves, they track how long people play your game and how many people buy your game. These two stats are really important. So his game, being 22 minutes, is about 4 times more successful in that regard, while still being bad. A median playtime of 22 minutes is bad. Okay, cool. So how do we improve this?
Looking at the initial play stats, I think I permanently lost some folks. Look at how many people just played my game for 10 minutes and never picked it up again. So I'm personally pretty good at my game. I've gotten pretty good at all the mechanics and I can fly through all these levels. So when I saw these stats, I was like,
be better, be better, be better, be better.
But then I watched some of the playtest footage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this guy's worse than me. Wait, this happened to literally everyone.
Okay, I think I made this part a little too hard. I can literally feel this guy's rage through the screen. And yeah, a lot of these clips just culminated in people hitting the quit button and probably never playing again. This was not a unique story.
Guys, wait, where is it?
Again, it just clicked.
Watch, wait for it. Wait for it. That's 5 minutes in.
Wow, there we go. So ridiculous. Alright, well, this is just a demo, so...
Yeah, I tell you guys, like, playtests is... Oh, man.
I got dozens of comments from playtesters saying that the mechanics felt jank, the tutorial just wasn't clear, and overall the game was just too hard. And the data spoke for itself. Look at this guy who died 209 times.
Holy
in
shit.
the tutorial. So yeah, at this point, it was starting to look like I had accidentally made the most frustrating game in history, and it was time that I put my pride aside and make some changes. I took some time to consult with some of my favorite game dev resources, and through my research, here's what I found needed to be changed.
How to make a game? Easy to learn, difficult to master.
All the best games have this quality, but I definitely underestimated how hard this part was going to be. For example, wall running was one of the
One of the things that you can do, easy to learn, is stagger the release of game mechanics. So if you have 10 game mechanics, introduce them one by playing the game and not all at once, and slowly. If you can do that with gameplay, that's the best.
mechanics I got the most negative feedback, which sucked because it's one of my favorite mechanics in the game.
Yeah.
One where, if you master it, you can use it to go at stupidly fast speeds, save
What?
yourself in tricky situations, and even fully skip certain parts of the map. But all this coolness was completely lost on so many players. Players thought it felt janky, made no sense, was awkward to use, and for the most part, it just kind of sucked. And the recurring theme among all this feedback was that it just wasn't intuitive. It didn't seem to be clicking for a lot of players how wall jump worked. Some folks knew how it worked and still thought it sucked. So how did it work? Well, to wall jump, you had to lean into a wall while in the air,
Yeah.
then while leaning, press spacebar to jump. So if you have a wall on your left side, while in the air, you have to be holding A, then press spacebar to actually execute the jump. When I first designed this mechanic, I really didn't think that this was that hard for the player to do. But after going through hours of playtest footage, it became clear to me that this mechanic is very problematic in two ways. The first way is that there's no indicator telling the player that they actually are wall running and can now perform a wall jump. Like right now, I'm kind of close to a wall, but I'm not actually eligible for a wall jump just
Yeah.
yet, because technically I'm not touching the wall. It's just really difficult for the player to see this, and it leads to the player thinking that the mechanic is just buggy. There'll be situations where the player feels like sometimes the wall jump works and sometimes it doesn't, and they don't know why.
I mean, I
The other
still
issue was
felt
just
that though. I still felt that in the current demo. It was a bit odd. Because like what I noticed is I can't wall jump when I go straight to a wall. I can't wall jump back to me, right? So like you could do in some other games. If you jump straight to a wall, you can wall jump back. That wasn't possible. I could only wall jump really when I was to the side of the wall, which made no intuitive sense for me. So there, I think there's still something in there, but maybe that's just not how he wants it.
the wall jump itself was just too hard to execute. When I made the mechanic, I thought that having the player learn to press two buttons at the same time was not going to be a problem. But what I didn't factor in was that wall running and jumping is a fundamental mechanic, one that the player has to learn right away and is intertwined with every other mechanic in the game.
How
It's
did
like
you do
if
this
every single
dash?
mechanic in Mario 64 was predicated on you learning the side flip. That would just be too much to ask the player. I think my new rule of thumb is that fundamental mechanics like this should only require one button press. So I ended up
Okay.
fixing these issues with two key changes. When you're in the air and you're close to a wall, the player is automatically going to enter the wall running state. I made it so when you're wall running, the player camera leans to the side slightly, you fall towards
Yeah, I noticed that too. Okay.
the ground slower, and you can hear your feet running on the
Behaves
wall.
differently.
It's all very subtle, but all these things combined do a lot to let your subconscious know that you're wall running. There's a term in game development called diegetic indicators, which are basically indicators that provide the player with information about the game without taking them away from the immersive experience. For example, if I just added a little running guy at the bottom of the screen every time you were wall running, that would be very not diegetic. I would say as a rule of thumb,
Because it breaks immersion. It's like intruding in your gameplay, and now you feel like you're playing a game. You're not immersed in the game world anymore.
if some information can be delivered to the
terrible.
player diegetically, that is
In-world
almost always
indicators,
preferred.
yeah.
The other way I improved wall running was just by simplifying the controls. I made it so you no longer have to be leaning into the wall to jump off the wall. As long as you're
You just press forward. Yeah.
in the air and near a wall, you're wall running, and as long as you're wall running, you can press space to vault off it. These changes were a huge hit for the playtesters, and the feedback was unanimously in favor of the new wall running. The part I like the most about these changes is that it doesn't really buff anything. I didn't make the game easier really at all, and wall jumping still has an extremely high skill ceiling
How
that
did
is
he
quite
tank the
difficult to
arrow?
master. So I think the key takeaway here is that unintuitive gameplay is not a replacement for challenging gameplay.
Yep.
And you should
True.
always strive to make your game as intuitive as possible.
True. that brings us back to Celeste. When you jump off the coyote time, it's intuitive for most players that when you run off a cliff, you still have a couple of seconds to jump. Most players don't require perfection at first. Okay.
There were a few other rage quitty parts of the playtest. The biggest offender was this part of the tutorial right here. The goal here was to teach the player about another core mechanic of the game, the slide jump. With slide jumping, you can land your jumps directly into another slide, thus preserving all your momentum. This mechanic allows you to move at super speed, zoom across the map, and it opens up all sorts of cool platforming challenges. But in reality, slide jumping for most players looked like this. The problem was, there's a pretty unforgiving window where the slide jump actually works. You have to trigger your slide right when you hit the ground, otherwise it's not going to work. I made this more forgiving by making it so as long as you're holding the slide button while you're in the air at all, you will go directly into a slide,
Yeah, that
thus
feels
getting
better.
rid of any timing element in this mechanic. In the case for my game, I'd say getting rid of the timing is totally fine, because that's not the type of game I'm trying to make.
that's why I probably
If
didn't
I was making
encounter
a
this.
rhythm game or something like that, timing button presses would feel very important. But I'm trying to make a game where the player goes fast and uses momentum to get
He
through
fell down.
obstacles and defeat enemies. And adding this mechanic where you have to perfectly time a button click to keep your speed feels like it only gets in the way of that core gameplay.
Wait, he got another door. The player must always
One
feel
other
in
scenario
control.
I saw in playtesting was this. Or this. This kind of thing showed up in the player feedback a lot. The player feeling like their hands were tied while they were in the air.
Oh,
Initially,
yeah.
I had actually designed for this. Since this is a momentum-focused game, I thought back to games like Portal, where you're building up this momentum and your air control is very little. The way you get through the levels is through strategically planning your route and executing. But unlike Portal, Blood Thief has way more platforming, and you're constantly moving so fast in Blood Thief. So what this leads to is situations where
How
the
is he
tiniest
doing
mistakes
that?
in misaligning a jump usually leads to your death with no chance of recovery.
That's happened to
The
me.
solution
Yeah,
this
that
one was super
exactly
simple.
happened to me.
Just give the player more air control. I like this because it lets the player remain in control no matter what state they're in. And yeah, it makes the game easier for now, but
Must
as
have
the game
missed the game
progresses, I can
mechanic.
still make the game more difficult by doing simple things like making platforms smaller or spacing them out further. Sometimes air control still isn't enough, like in situations like this. And this can feel pretty shitty if you've just had a perfect run up to this
Yeah.
point and there
You
was
can't
literally
dodge.
nothing you could have done about it. So I added the ability to parry arrows by right-clicking. Now, if you see an arrow coming your way, you can redirect the arrow back at the enemy with a well-timed parry in a very
What?
ultra kill-like
I didn't
fashion.
know
I think
that.
this mechanic adds a lot to the game in a lot of ways.
Did he teach me that
It
through
prevents the
text?
scenario where the player's just screwed if they get shot while they're flying through the air. Now, if a player gets hit, they only have themselves to blame because
teach that
parrying
through
is
text.
always an option.
I see.
It also creates an interesting decision for the player,
I
like in
didn't
this
read it.
scenario, where you can parry the arrow, or if your
I'm
air
not
dash is
saying
all
that
the way
it's-
charged up, you
I'm not saying that it's good that I didn't read it, but I'm saying that there will be players who don't read it. If you miss the text like that, because I think I missed it then, can still be frustrating.
can dash at the enemy instead. Lastly, it adds back that timing thing that
How
I
did
took
he do
away
the
from
dash?
slide
I missed
jump.
that too.
For players that like mastering timing-based mechanics, this gives them an additional option to play around with.
Probably
Players
should have
that
kept
would
that
rather
press F
go
to
fa-
parry text until the player successfully parries one time. Yeah, maybe like in it's another tower defense game example, but Kingdom Rush does this very well. They have like a list of information, and unless you click on it, they stay there at least throughout the level. So maybe he should have kept something like that, but I know that it's intrusive in the game. Because if you continue on with the game, and now you give another tip, now you have two tips. Now, how do you display these two tips, right? They have a list of tips to the left, but it's a tower defense game. His game is an immersive 3D running game. It's a little bit difficult. Hope you'll watch his newest video. Yeah, we can watch that as well. Like maybe tomorrow, something like that. Sure. He talks about the tutorial there. Okay, cool. Yeah, then I guess we'll watch part 2 tomorrow then.
Fast and strategic.
So like I myself being a dumb gamer, you know, maybe I was distracted or something. I missed these two key hints of the game and I have no way to get them back. At least from like glancing really fast, I couldn't see anything on how to get that back.
Dodge arrows can do that instead. Supporting different playstyles always feels like a good thing.
But this is like his first iteration and he learned a lot from that. So like, yeah, like the best thing we can take away from the video is let people play, test your game, and then Listen to the feedback that they have. If the feedback is always the same, then there's got to be a point to what these people are saying.
There are a lot of opinions online about how much you should punish the player for losing. This came up a lot in my playtest, where some playtesters wanted more frequent checkpoints, so dying didn't feel like such a terrible failure and you could progress through a level more piecewise. This is an area where I'm not really budging that much. I hate it when I'm going through a boss battle in a game only to die and get respawned in the middle of the boss.
Yeah, that sucks.
I feel like doing stuff like this robs me of that triumphant feeling of getting good. And
however, on Margaret the Bridge boss, asshole, piece of... You literally spawn outside because he's such an asshole. So that's fine.
Accomplishing something difficult. Maybe my favorite gaming moment of all time was when I defeated the Rebel flagship on hard mode in FTL.
Damn.
That moment was special because all of the work and anticipation that led up to it, because of the punishing nature of the game. If every time I died I got to just start right back up to the beginning of the battle, that moment would have just been another middle-of-the-road gaming moment for me. Now, FTL is a roguelike, so it's a bit easier to tell the player you have to start all the way over, since they can completely change their approach and have an entirely fresh gameplay experience the next time through.
It's difficult to say. Like, how many of you guys have played a single player back in the day and you forgot to save your game? And then 5 hours later you died. Now, will you play that game again? Elder Scrolls? Yeah, imagine. Yep. Or will you be inclined to use a cheat to make yourself alive so you don't have to go and play the 5 hours again? Like, there were very rare occurrences where I would still, yeah, both, right? Like, I would play the 5 hours again sometimes, but I would also cheat sometimes because I was like, no, that was bullshit. No, I'm not spending the time again.
I think there's a middle ground. My game's a bit more linear than FTL, so I'm definitely going to have some checkpoints. I'm just holding my ground for now that some punishment can be a good thing.
Yeah, it needs to, of
So
course.
those are the main gameplay changes that I made, along with dozens of little bug fixes.
I still don't know how you can
found.
dash.
And the player experience is night and day from where it started. Median playtime is way up, and there's already a solid amount of players playing for an hour or more.
That's good.
A mini speedrunning community is even starting to develop. There's already some people that have crushed my best time, and it's so awesome seeing people come up with crazy tactics that I never thought of to shave time off their run. It's all just so exciting and makes you want to go make some more stuff for people to play.
That's really cool.
So here are the main takeaways. You need clear indicators to the player as to what is happening in the game, like when you can wall jump. Gameplay should be as intuitive as possible. Early levels should not require perfection. Give the player room to learn the basics.
Yeah.
Make sure the player always feels in control. And be cognizant of how punishing your game is and cater to your target audience. So what's next? First of all, I'm constantly updating the game and pushing new updates to Steam. Go try the most recent playtest and let me know what you think. It's free to play and you can play it on Steam just by going to the Steam page and clicking this button here. Feel free to give Blood Thief a wishlist too while you're there. I'll put a link in the description to link you directly to the page.
Awesome.
Right now, I'm working on a ton of new content, new levels, new enemies, and some crazy new mechanics. They're not ready for prime time just yet, but join the Discord and you'll be the first to know about them.
Some cool
All right,
physics
that's
stuff.
all for this devlog. Do me a huge favor. Wishlist Blood Thief on Steam. Go play the playtest and have a great day.
Awesome. Very nice. Very cool video. I love this, you know, because this is, hello Yuva, this is essentially what we are doing too. And I think this is the best approach that you can have to game development. You make something, and you know, the biggest fear we always have is, I don't want to waste my time. I'll make something. Is it the right thing to do? You don't know that. No one knows that. Let people play test your game and tell them that it's good or not. Really cool. This is the video, guys. I wonder how far away he is from launch. And then also, if you guys want to play the game, there it is as well. This is the game. Cool. I'm going to add it to the wishlist because then I will receive an email when it comes out.